Next up is a man who, I think like a lot of us, when you first walked into this and thought, oh, I know, that looks like a really bad idea. I'll make sure that we address that. And you think that you're just going to write to your MP and you're going to say something logical like, clearly this is a dangerous industry. You don't realise it's going to entirely take over your life, crush everything you ever imagined was real, and change you forever. And I think I've seen that happen in the next speaker. He's been the kindness and generosity that has allowed us to remain here down at Maple Farm Community Hub. And without that, I think our movement would have struggled much more. We've been really fortunate to have that space where we can have our meetings come together and have some element of sanitation and comfort that makes enduring these past 20 months a little bit easier. But also I've watched him take a sacrifice and a hit in his own business and his own life continuously. But like me, I recognise exactly what drives him, and I understand it, which is we have children, and in my case I have a grandchild. And so with that in mind, how do you ever go home until they do? Somebody said, oh, we're here till we win. Well, someone said, what happens if they win? I thought, well, that will never happen, because we'll be here until they're gone. Whatever action or stage in the process they're at, we do not consider winning anything until our side does that, and we'll be here forever. So John Toothill has sacrificed a great deal, and he's an often missed hero on our street because you don't see him as often as we do. So John, over to you.
Thank you, Tina. Thank you, everybody here.
Close to the mic, John.
Closer? Okay.
Yeah,
right. As we all know, this is an absolutely ridiculous, absurd undertaking. You can only relate to this industry or this company here as to what they're doing under the term of criminality. Because a criminal will do whatever they can if they think they can get away with it. And this is what Quadrora thought. They thought that they can get away, that people will be gullible, they'll accept what they say, they'll accept what the government say to them. But the thing is, we are smarter than what they think we are. There's the rest of the Western world has turned its back, or the majority of the Western world, and increasingly so, as Jamie was saying, has turned its back on this toxic industry. Because it's an industry that, it's not an industry that might cause harm, it's not an industry that may cause harm, it's not an industry that could cause harm, it's an industry that's knowingly going to cause harm. And I can't accept for one moment that my children, my family, your children, your families can be harmed by an industry who don't care less, couldn't care less about you, me, my family. All they're thinking about is money. And the trouble is, that extends to the government, because if it wasn't for this government rubber stamping, giving this industry money hand over fist continually, changing the law for this industry wouldn't be here. Neither would any other of the toxic industries, because they only do that when they think they can get away with it. And it just takes my words away, and I'm struggling for words now. It just beggars belief that this can possibly be happening. But we know that they're trying to do it, but we can be confident that it won't last very, very long. They are on their death throes, as we all appreciate they are, realise that they are. They are just blustering along, saying to shareholders, oh yes, we're on with this phase, we're on with that phase, we're working on to this phase next, but they are just fooling their shareholders, and their shareholders aren't as stupid as what, and the same as the public aren't as stupid as what they think we are, or as stupid as what Quadrilla and the government think we are, because, as I said, it wouldn't be happening if it wasn't for the government. And the government, they must remember, most of the government ministers are multi-millionaires who have got all sorts of share dealings and dealings that they don't disclose, and it's something that they think they can just keep on getting away with. But I know that they can't do, because we, the public, are a lot smarter. And as I say, this wouldn't be happening at all if it wasn't for the government pushing for this industry, to line their own pockets. Remember a couple of years ago, Amber Rudd, the Energy Secretary, she rubber stamped the gas caverns, the creation of gas caverns over wire, where people had campaigned for 20 plus years for those not to happen. But because her brother, we talk about corruption, her brother was working for the lobbying company for Halite, and they do this time and time again and think they can get away with it, but they're not going to get away with it. Now, it's the government agencies, it's the police. If it wasn't for the police force, this wouldn't be happening. Now, I'm not saying all police officers are wrong uns. We've all got different opinions, but there are a number of very, very good police officers, but they are being made fools of by the government. They're being used as puppets, and they know they are. But it's not so much the individual constable, it's the command level. It's the chief, from the chief constable, it's the police and crime commissioners, it's the inspectors, it's all the top ranks that do not have the bottle to be able to say to the government to stand up for the communities that they're supposed to serve. And the trouble is, amongst the police, it almost becomes a gang, where so many police officers are driven and swept along by the few bad ones, because they're frightened to speak up against what's being done to them. Because I believe the majority of police officers would support their community. It says on the vans, police and communities working together. But when we see what happens here, where they're not supporting we are the community, they're not supporting the community, they're supporting this industry. And they are facilitating the industry, and it's inexcusable. They should have the broad enough shoulders and the moral responsibility to say to the chief constable and the inspectors, look, this isn't on, we don't want to do this to local people. Everything to do with this just beggars belief. It's people literally doing what they're told, and it's all motivated by money. Everything should be motivated by morality, decency, and respect for people and respect for the environment. So this here doesn't have a future at all. It's on its death throes, and because the thing is, wrongdoing, as has been the case through all the ages, people get away with wrongdoing only for a limited amount of time. You think of all the juntas in different countries, and we've got like a junta in this country, because they're not respecting the people that they represent, and they don't last very long. They get away, they cause atrocities, and they supporting this industry. They're supporting the creation of ill health to people, but we know they just won't last. They're on the way out. And with your support, us standing together, and staying together, then there's nothing surer this won't last very, very long. So at least we can take comfort in that. Thank you very much.
John Toothill. You know, a lot of us had to come to this and work out how do we speak to each other, and I think what we found along the way is that our most loved speakers are the speakers who speak just in true honesty, straight from the heart, who are just us again.